A special edition of Rebound Off the Net inside the Georgia Force as we preview the Georgia Force's 2024 season. I'm your host, Joshua Cox. The Force are a legendary or legacy franchise that were in the AFL from 2002 to 2012. The Force reside in Atlanta, Georgia, and will play in the South Division, which includes the Orlando Predators, Desert Hawks, and Louisiana Voodoo. Here to help us preview the Force is AFL legend, AFL Hall of Famer, head coach of the Georgia Force, Durwood Roquemore. Coach, welcome on.
Thanks for having me on today. My pleasure, Josh.
First off, Coach, let's start talking a little about your career. You're from the Dallas area. You decided to go to college at Texas A&I. You won an NAI national championship in 1979. Were first team All-American junior and senior year. Tell us about that decision to go there. Tell us about your experience in college.
Well, my decision to go there, I was recruited highly to a lot of Southwest Conference teams and Ohio State, Michigan, or teams like that. So I decided to take a visit down to Texas A&I, which is Texas A&M Kingsville now. And when I got there, I saw professional football scouts all over the place working out some guys that was there. And they had on a small team 8 players to be drafted that one season. So I had a lot of conversation with the coaches and the players that was about to be drafted. And I talked with Doug Green. He was number 34, safety. He was drafted in the 3rd round. He said, "You come down, you'll wear my number, and we leave, and you'll be a draft choice in 4 years." And exactly happened because I just sort of saw my future when I got there. I was ready to play right away. I didn't want to sit around and wait and play. And they was having defensive backs drafted the whole time. So I cut all my business out, had some scholarships in baseball, basketball. And I decided to just make that my home because I could see the future right down on my visit.
Yeah, you left there. You were drafted by the Chiefs in the 6th round, the '82 draft. Played a couple seasons there before playing in the original USFL. Tell us a little about that time and then transitioning from there to the AFL game.
Well, when I was drafted into the NFL, the 6th round, 157 player overall, I was able to just go right to Kansas City as the only rookie defensive back to make the team. And we had 3 other all pros there. So I was a sponge. I asked questions every day. I hung out with the guys off the field. I was just excited to be there playing with some top-notch defensive backs.
Yeah, outside some of the games at the Bills in 1987, you played primarily the rest of your career with in the AFL with the Chicago Bruisers, Albany Firebirds and Orlando Predators. What were some of your greatest memories, and what was your favorite stop in your AFL career?
Well, probably my last stop, which was at Orlando, because I had a chance to play with Perry Moss as our coach. He coached me when I first got to the Chicago Bruisers, and several of the players, we went to Orlando when we played there. So I ended my career there, and I had a nice time. I actually moved there as well, too, because it was such a nice place. We had nice ownership. We had a great fan base. We sold out games 3 years in a row, every game. It was the hottest ticket in town, and it was a very exciting time for arena football.
Talk about the Ironman aspect. How was that for you and going both ways?
Well, going both ways, I played both ways my very first season, which was the very first year of the league. I played wide receiver, defensive back. And the following year there, they came with a specialist, and I was probably one of the first specialists that played the game. So I was just glad to just play one side of the ball, but I had no problem playing the other side because I played that in high school as well, too.
Coach, moved now to the Georgia Force. Let's talk about how did you end up in this role, and tell us a little bit about the process it was like to getting this job.
Well, I think the Georgia Force had some problems at first. I'm not for sure exactly what they were, but I got a call from the league office, and they asked what would it take for me to be the head coach at the Georgia Force. And I replied, "You mean you're going to ask me what it take?" So it didn't take much because I have a passion for the game and love, and I knew I could do the job. And it was very exciting because I had been out the game for a while. As a matter of fact, I was retired, for several years. So it was just like a dream come true. It was God led to, for them to offer me this position, and I'm grateful for it today.
What does it mean to you, Coach, to be able to coach one of the legacy franchises like the Georgia Force?
Well, like Georgia is like Texas, where I'm from. They're huge in football. Just take a look at what University of Georgia have been doing the last several years. And when I started recruiting and talking to players in this area, I know it was a bed for football players here. So I didn't have any problem getting some good players, and I still get calls today, but the roster is not big enough to bring them all on.
What's it been like returning to the arena game for you? It's the first time in quite a while, I believe. So.
Well, it's very exciting, first of all, because I still have it in my heart, and You can be away from the game 100 years. I still don't forget how the game is played, and the size of the field and what type of athletes you have to be successful in this league.
Coach, tell fans a little bit about your coaching style. How do you relate to your players?
Well, I relate to my players as as sons. I'm honest with them. I'm straightforward with them. I hold them accountable, and I want to be held accountable as well. So, we're building a relationship, so they'll be able to trust me while they're on the field, and we also have conversations and a relationship off the field as well. As far as like when they begin older, some of them married, some of them have children. So I've been through that whole process. So I'm going to also be a communicator off the field, life skills, so to speak.
Coach, give us your thoughts on kind of the makeup of the league. What do you think about the league and how it's shaped out?
Well, starting out, like when I first started, we started out with 4 teams. And this league is coming back with 16 teams. And each team have a great coach with experiences. They have great athletes because it's the top league out there. A lot of players are jumping from other leagues because of probably the pay of the league here as well. But it's some tremendous athletes, some tremendous coaches out there. So I think this league going to get out to a nice, nice start.
Really excited about the league. Let's talk about your division in particular. I think you're in one of the toughest divisions in the AFL in the South Division: Orlando Predators, Desert Hawks, Louisiana Voodoo. What do you think about your division?
Well, all the teams have experience and they're familiar with the league. They have franchises for several times, and all the teams have experienced coaches. So they're going to go out and recruit experienced players and players that know how to play this game. So they're similar to I am. They got experience in the league and they know what it takes to be successful in this league and put a good product on the field.
Tell us a little bit about the process of building your force roster. What's that been like? I know there's a lot of talent there in the Atlanta area. So tell us a little bit about what it's been like, just kind of putting the roster together.
Well, first of all, you got to have a quarterback, which I call him the trigger man. You got to have the quarterback, and then you got to have receivers for him to get the ball to. And then on the other side of the ball, you got to have good cover guys. You got to have good pass rushers. And mainly, you got to have good defensive players. And it's easier for them to transition to the other side of the ball. So I'm always seeking defensive players because I think they're much better athletes, in my opinion.
Let's talk about your quarterback position, Coach. Kayvon Taylor, a local Atlanta guy. Tell us a little about him. He was at AFL Media Days the other day, and what your quarterback position kind of looks like.
Well, he's the type of athlete that he's a sponge, just like myself, and he's able to lead. He have a leadership ability. He have experience playing in the outdoors game because he also played flag football, so he have some familiarity of a quick game. So I think he fits perfect for this league.
Coach, the AFL game is pretty pass heavy. You're going to have a fullback in the backfield. How do you plan to use that position? A lot of coaches.
Well, this is a passing game and a passing league, so you have to be able to mix the run in as needed and keep the defense off balance because you can't just let them just pin their ears back and come at you without having something to counter that with.
Let's move to receiving corps, Coach. Tavius Jones was one guy that was at AFL Media Days the other day. What's that kind of looking like, and what's some of your big play guys looking like in the
Well, Tavius is an experienced guy. He played in several leagues. He's a leader. He's a pro. He's a professional, so he's familiar with playing in the NFL, USFL, all different type of leagues. He even played outside of the country as well. So we're bringing in other top receivers as well with good size, good athletic ability, be able to block, be able to run, be able to play multiple positions, be able to adjust, and first of all, be a pro. As me talking to the guys, even before I signed them, I know they was professional guys, and they was going to be leaders, and they was going to be an extension of me as the coach.
You're on kind of the O-line, D-line. What's the challenges look like for that and getting guys to play both ways? And how is the line shaking out for you all on the force?
Well, a lot of guys have played both sides of the balls in high school, so they never forget to play offensive tackle or defensive end because they play both sides. So it's not going to be a big adjustment as you think. You just have to be able to teach them the techniques and understand that the ball comes out quicker. And a lot of time it's a matchup game.
Defensive backfield, Coach, how's that shaping out?
Well, first of all, you have to deal with the motion and a different type of formations. Excuse me. But in the outdoor game, you have to deal with the same thing. But, the ball comes out quicker and the routes are shortened down and they make adjustments as a defensive back. You have to do a lot of things different, besides, coming out your back pedal sooner, being able to have your eyes in the right place and being able to be in a position so when the ball is thrown, you turn it to the receiver.
Last position group, Coach, you're kicking and special teams. Tell us a little about that and kind of what that looks like right now.
Well, we have an experienced kicker, Craig Kamei. He's kicked in the league for several years, and he's an experienced kicker, so he'll be able to do all the chores and the duties as a kicker. So that's going to be a big part of the game because the net plays a big part, and he's already experienced kicking inside the smaller, upright, so to speak. So I think that was very important to get a kicker that was familiar and experienced in this league.
Coach, who's the standout player that fans are going to know by the end of the season for the Georgia Force?
Well, I believe every team going to be looking for their quarterback to make plays, be the leader, and some of the top receivers. By name, I just expect all of them to be top players, none in particular. If you get into the game, I expect you to play your role and make plays and be a professional out there and compete and play fast, play physical, play with a lot of discipline.
Coach, we're in the midst of training camp now. You all have a preseason game against the Voodoo on the 20th. How are you preparing for that, and how are you going about that?
Well, we just get prepared because, majority of these players have been to a training camp, but the arena football training camp is a lot different. You just want to make sure that all the guys get the reps that they need. So, and practice indoors. We'll be in an indoor facility. That's going to help our life so we can simulate playing indoors as well. So, instead of practicing outdoors, I thought indoor facility would be better. So the guys that hadn't played indoor before, they'll be able to transition better, and the ball comes out different. They'll be able to get the trajectory of the ball and be able to see it well.
A lot of fans feel like the Force has been kind of a mysterious team. Can you kind of give a message to the fans, and can you assure them that the Force will be playing this year?
Well, I'll assure them they'll be playing because we're doing this interview. We won't be doing this interview if we wouldn't have a game. So they can assure that we will have a season this year. We're just asking the fans to make the adjustments just like we have to. And I'm sure it's going to be a marriage made in heaven.
Coach, but what are you excited about for this season?
Well, I'm most excited about the product that we're putting on the field and the guys to make a quick adjustment because it's a short season at 10 games. So the most important thing is just getting ahead of the ball and ahead of the game by having the correct type practices and getting the guys totally prepared to compete on our first game on the 28th of April.
Coach, best of luck to you this season. We look forward to seeing the Force play.
Thanks a lot, Josh, and it's been a pleasure.